Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's interview, I am joined by Ohio State women's lacrosse player Emily Magalotti. Emily, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and how is everything going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, obviously, you're just wrapping up the off season and getting the season's about to start in a couple weeks. So, how was your off season this last fall semester, and did you do anything interesting, whether it was lacrosse related or not?
Yeah, so I would say that this fall semester was probably one of my favorites in all my college years, particularly in lacrosse. Being at Ohio State for 2 years now, I would say this is the closest team I've ever seen. We did a team camping trip in West Virginia right in the beginning of the semester, which was really fun to get to know the freshmen and be together outside of practices. As for fall ball, it was really fun and cool to watch our freshmen and a lot of our returners come and showcase all the work that they have done over the summer. So I would say overall it was definitely a good fall for sure, and definitely one that I will never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And obviously, how would you evaluate your team's performance during fall ball and your individual performance as well? And how do you hope that translates, I guess, to the spring season?
I would start off by saying, looking at the team's performance, especially this year, I mean, with Mandy, our new head coach, having 1 year under our belt, I would say that we have elevated the standard of Ohio State women's lacrosse. So, meaning setting the tone for what our practices look like right away from the beginning of the first practice, and just making sure everything we did was with purpose, whether that was running, making sure we're pushing each other, or in a fall ball game, just making sure we're playing to the standard of our program.
Now, being a senior this year, what type of leadership do you want to bring towards the team? Would you consider yourself more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I would say being a senior this year, I want my leadership to be remarkable and something that like leaving more so leaving the program better than I found it, seen it 2 years ago. I don't know, leave this year knowing that I've done that, leaving this year knowing that everyone on this team will do anything to play through May, and for each other, and the desire for everybody wanting to be better. I think then, considering myself as a leader, I would say being captain makes me different than the rest of my teammates. It's like kind of having a target on my back. So I'm always making sure I'm doing more work than what my teammates are, and never settling for the standard that we have set. So everyone on this and knowing that everyone on this team is counting on me on and off the field every day.
Now, how have the new players in your team looked on the field and how have they adapted to your team's culture and system?
Um, so we actually got 3 transfers. We just picked up a midway transfer from Florida, and we got a bunch of freshmen. So overall, everybody has fit in perfectly with our team. And honestly, they're bringing more fire into everybody to try to fight for a spot, which is really good. There's a lot of potential for all of them, and I'm really excited to see what they will do in the spring.
Now, thinking about the upcoming season, what are your team's goals and expectations?
So our team goals for the upcoming season would definitely be to play till May, but more specifically, we want to have a better record than we did last year and make an impact within the Big Ten play and the Big Ten tournament.
Now, is there any individual goals that you have for the upcoming season?
Um, yes, I think with this being my last ride, I know that I don't want to be done anytime soon. So I'm definitely going to play every game like it's my last. And we lost one of our key offensive threats last year, Jamie Laza, who was actually in my grade. And she was definitely a huge vocal aspect for the attacking side of the field. So we have some shoes to fill. So I'm definitely been working on that, trying to be more of a vocal and attacking threat for our team.
Now, let's transition and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career now. So, from the research I did, it says that you're from Reading, Pennsylvania. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
So Growing up in a small town outside of Philadelphia, my brother and I are actually 15 months apart. So he's older, I'm the younger one. And we were constantly involved in sports. I mean, I played lacrosse in high school while still running track. So sports was like really big for us. So he was actually the one who got me into lacrosse. As a family, we're very competitive in everything we do. So my watching my brother pick up a stick and start playing, I knew that was something I wanted to try. And we would always go like out in my front yard just doing um like one-on-ones and doing different drills together. So I definitely think my brother was a huge impact of that. So he also too played lacrosse in college. So it was really cool to have somebody else in my family that played lacrosse as well.
Yeah, and also someone to relate to too when during the ups and downs of a season. That must be really helpful for you. Now,
Yes.
growing up, who are some of your favorite players and teams that you like to watch?
Someone that I like really liked to watch was Molly Hendricks. She actually was from not too far away, like 30 minutes from me. She was from Manheim Township, and I played her team in districts often in high school. So watching her go to UNC was really cool. So then I started following her along, and then which led me to follow around along UNC then too. So that was cool.
Now, before college, you played for your high school at Wilson High School. What was that experience like for you, and do you have like a favorite lacrosse memory from your high school lacrosse days?
So I would say overall, it was a great experience. Although I never got to like play out my senior season due to COVID, which really sucked. I feel like getting to be a part of big milestones for the program was really cool. I mean, which reflects on one of my favorite memories was getting probably my junior year when we won counties and then we won districts, which was the first time I think in our program history. And then we made our furthest run as a program to the state semifinals. Was actually like really cool to just be a part of that and like make big milestones for our high school as a whole.
Now, you also played club lacrosse for Fantastics. How did that experience sort of help prepare you for college lacrosse?
So my experience playing club lacrosse for Fantastics definitely prepared me for college lacrosse. I mean, many of my head coaches of my club teams that coached me were college players. So that was really cool because a lot of our practices would consist of drills that they did in college, and they often would give us advice and like provide feedback on what we needed to do to prepare for college when the time was there. So it was actually really cool.
Now, talk about your initial recruiting process. Obviously, you originally played for North Carolina, so when that was going on, what made you want to go there versus the schools you might have looked at? And yeah, what was that like for you?
So my initial recruiting process was very early. My year of like recruiting was the year when the law got passed, but I was fortunate enough to have committed to UNC, which went into which before didn't affect the law was like passed. So that was like really nice because I know some of my friends like were going through midway through recruiting and then the law got passed and then they had to wait 2 years. So I'd say I'm really fortunate for that. I did not go to many camps. Fantastics always got like us in the right tournaments. So I would say it was right time, right place. So what made me want to go to North Carolina over other schools was the fact that not only it's like a great school academically, but I think the challenge. I knew that there might not be a chance, like there could be a potential chance that I may not play there, but I honestly wanted to see if I could play with the best at the one of the best schools in the country.
And when you got there, what was like the biggest adjustment that you had to make to college lacrosse?
I would say honestly, probably building self-confidence. I mean, everybody you play with in that level is a star at their high school or maybe player of the year in their area. So it was definitely an adjustment of just trusting myself and the abilities that I have that I deserve to be here. And that was something that I still am today learning, but definitely had to adjust and just like trust in myself.
Now, during your time with UNC, you only played in 3 games. However, you won 2 ACC championships and a national championship during your time there. What did you take away from your time with North Carolina, and what was it like being a part of a national championship squad?
So I would say I learned a lot about my time at UNC. I mean, first being like a star athlete at my high school and then coming to a top school in the country for lacrosse and only playing 2 minutes in some games was definitely a different position than I've ever been in. But it definitely is something that I'm like forever thankful for. Like there through all the ups and downs, I learned so much about myself and learned from well-known leaders that were, I'm lucky to say, were my teammates and still today, like my friends. I learned what it meant to be someone who might not play any minutes and but how to be good, how to be overall just a good teammate. I mean, whether that was being a scout player during game weeks or passing out water to like starters during the NCAA finals. I mean, there is so much more to life than this sport. And some of my good friends saw more minutes than I ever would, but like never looked at me differently. I realized that everyone on this team has a purpose and it's important to like never forget your role. And I realized that like even though it was sometimes hard to see through the hard times, it definitely was like being a scout player. I knew how important it was for my job. So then during the games, like when we are going to the national championship, like it is my job to prepare everyone around me. So when we did win the national championship, it was like an unreal experience knowing that like everyone on that team particularly knew that like we won it as a team and like not just individuals or starters, but with everyone like myself that were like busting their butt every day to make sure we were all ready to go, which is like something that I definitely take with me at Ohio State. Like being a leader here is like, I just try to make sure like everyone feels like they have a purpose on this team and to not forget their why even if they aren't the ones that are playing the games. I just think it's important to like it's important for them to feel that way because I know what it feels like to be on the other side of like the other side of the field. So definitely was honestly a very empowering like situation and I'm really happy like I got to experience it.
Now, what led you to enter the transfer portal, and how did you end up deciding to go to Ohio State after that decision was made?
So, what made me want to enter the transfer portal was my desire to play. I mean, I knew the gamble I played like took by going to North Carolina, but it got to a point where I'm not a type of kid that can just sit on the sidelines my whole career. So I really wanted to make a name for myself and get some playing time in college. So it was to this day, and I tell everyone that it was the hardest thing I've ever done is leaving midway. And but I knew if this was truly something I wanted, I had to leave all my friends and to in the school that I love to put myself first. So, and so then I decided that I think this is what I have to do. I have to enter the portal. So, and then I would say how I knew that I wanted to pick Ohio State was probably because Ohio State took a chance on me. I didn't have a lot of film on myself in North Carolina. I mean, redshirting my sophomore year, I didn't have a lot. So even though all these other schools definitely like were interested, I think that Ohio State really gave me that chance that you can prove yourself. There was no guarantee that I might play or no guaranteed playing time. I mean, coaches can't give that, but I remember they said like we will give you at least a fair shot coming midway. So that was definitely something that I'm forever grateful for, and I'm so like glad I went to Ohio State.
Now, you get to play in the Big Ten now. What's it like being a part of the Big Ten, and what are some of the differences, I guess, in styles of play between the Big Ten and ACC?
I would say playing in the Big Ten is definitely competitive, but so much fun. Like knowing every team that is on our schedule is going to be a good game is very exciting. It's a great conference, and you're playing with and against some of the best players in the world. So it can be really humbling, but it's exciting to play with the best. I feel like that's like what makes you better. And I know like looking at the differences between Big Ten and ACC, I truly don't think there's much difference. Like both have gone back and forth with who wins the national championship every year, and both are extremely good conferences with competitive teams.
Yeah, you get to play for Coach Amanda Moore. What's it like playing for her? What makes her different from other coaches you might have, and what's the experience been like with her since it's her second year, I think.
So playing for Amanda Moore has been honestly empowering. I think that's how I would describe it. Some girls who have been here for a while in the program have gone through coach after coach within this women's lacrosse program. So the way she came in before, prior to being hired, watched film on literally all of us and knew all of our names from the start. Like the moment I remember meeting her, the moment we walked in, she knew who we are, like what position we played. I think that just shows what type of person and coach she is. She definitely pushes us all to be better every day and challenge us individually as players and women. But she always sees us more than just our sport. In the fall, she always takes the time to get to know each one of us on a personal level and learn about our stories. And Mandy also too has two little children of her own, but like doesn't blink an eye, like treats her players like they are her family and would drop anything for us. So overall, if that doesn't tell you what type of person Amanda Moore is, then I don't know what will, because I am truly thankful I get to be coached by her, and she will forever make a lasting impact on my career.
Now, in the 2 years you've been with the Buckeyes, the team has gone from 5 wins to 8 wins. So talk about the improvements that your team has made and how you plan to take another step in 2025.
I would say it has truly been an incredible experience being a part of the improvements of this team in the past 2 years. With the change of coaching staff, like I said, honestly, the team has bought into the program more and more than I've ever seen. I mean, we getting a taste of those big wins, like beating Penn State last year and being right there with well-known teams within our conference has sparked a lot of our desire to be better. We also have been talking, we also too have been like really working on growing our culture as a team and getting to know each other on deeper levels, not just as lacrosse, which has been really cool. We call it like our Buckeye sisterhood. So that's been cool to be a part of. And as we take our next step into 2025, I would say we're really hungry to just show what we got. I think every practice in the fall and even now has been very competitive. We push each other to be better versions of ourselves every day. I mean, even I have no idea who will start in the spring. I don't even know if I will, which is honestly so much better because there's no complacency on this team. I mean, we have freshmen pushing me. I mean, I'm probably one of the oldest people out there pushing me, and I love every minute of it. So, I'm just excited for this spring to really just showcase what we've been doing all fall and actually like make a name for this program.
What has been like the biggest improvement you think you've made to your game throughout your time with Ohio State?
I would say my most significant improvement to my game would be being more of an offensive threat and voice. I mean, I came in to UNC as a midfielder. I played midfield all my life in high school, but then right away I was transitioned to defender. My first year at Ohio State, I was a defender. And then it wasn't until last year, Mandy pulled me aside. I remember the first week in the fall and was like, would you consider going midi? I was like, I mean, why not? I loved playing midi. I like to do that. So I was like, I would love to. So definitely getting my confidence back into the attacking side has been something that I've been really working on, still working on, but I definitely have feel more confident last year and going into this year.
Now, you were just named team captain before the season began. I know you talked a little bit about this during the beginning part of the interview, but just talk about receiving that honor and just sort of what that means to you.
Receiving the honor of being team captain last year and this year, I would say is something undescribable. I mean, it's a huge honor considering that I've not been here as long as some of my other teammates. And although I'm like something that I'm very proud of, I look at it as it doesn't change who I am as a player or how I want my teammates to look at me. I mean, I bring the type of like I'm the type of leader that I would say is like I'm more focused on just being well respected, and I can be very intense in games, which I'm sure most of us can be, but definitely someone that like anyone on my team can count on. I mean, regardless of how close our friendship may be, they know that they can call me about anything or anything or everything. Like I don't care and I'll drop anything for this team first, and they know that. And they know too, like, we can't win games without everybody on that field, whether you're on it or not. Like, we win as a team. And I try to do my best to show that in everything I do.
What's been your favorite lacrosse memory with Ohio State so far?
I would say my favorite lacrosse memory was definitely beating Penn State in double overtime last year. It was one of the coolest experiences to not only be on the field, but also to watch one of our freshmen who honestly, she had a good fall and a good spring, but like towards the like her confidence started really building towards the end of spring. And she's actually from Ohio, so she had a lot of family at the game. So watching her score the game winning goal was probably one of the coolest things ever.
Now, is there any particular game you're looking forward to for the upcoming year? I just saw that your schedules was released, so I assume going to Nashville to play Vanderbilt and like getting to play those cool teams is going to be a lot of fun. And then also, U USC and Oregon are two new conference foes, so that's gonna be cool to play them, I assume as well.
I would say, I mean, every Ohio person here would probably say the team up north, but I'm definitely really excited to play USC and all those like teams that just got added in. I think it's going to be a good test to see how well we will handle those type of teams. And I'm actually excited to play Vandy in a real game. A bunch of my UNC friends that in my grade transferred out of there, so I'm excited to see them and play against some of my old teammates, which will be really exciting.
Now, from your perspective, what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse?
Um, Honestly, I feel like in general it's been really growing and it's quickly, which has been great. But with the like even with the new introduction of the new women's league, I think that is awesome. I just think that like we need to just continue to keep growing with like well-known ambassadors that continue to promote the game will really help impact like younger generations to come and just growing the game in areas that might not be hotspots for lacrosse. So that'll be definitely good.
Now, for all the younger players that are listening to this podcast, what advice would you give to them on what it takes to sort of be a college lacrosse player like yourself?
Yeah, so the advice that I would give to somebody, to young players, would be just to embrace the journey, not just the destination. I mean, I'm forever grateful for my lacrosse journey throughout these past 5 years, from North Carolina taking a shot on me, someone from a high school that was probably not really known, and then going then from barely playing any minutes when I got there to winning a national championship. And then now here I am at Ohio State transferring mid-year. I feel like throughout all this experience, I've learned a lot about myself and learned from well-known leaders in the lacrosse like community that I'm fortunate enough to call my teammates and friends. I mean, I don't think I would be the same person I am without all the things I've done and experienced. So I'm definitely thankful that North Carolina took a shot on me. And although my path changed, I'm grateful for the experiences that I can take away from that program. And as for Ohio State, they took a chance on me midway, not even seeing film. So I am grateful that I get to be a part of their program. And I'm really grateful that I like get to leave the program knowing that I made a lasting impact and made the program better than when I found it and to be remembered for being part of that change. So I just hope my story will one day inspire others to go out and take risks that might be scary in the moment, but be so rewarding in the end. So definitely my advice.
Now, one last question before the interview comes to a close. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your family members, teammates, former teammates, and who should we have on the podcast next?
No, I just know Allie Kennedy was on this and she was like, you're gonna love it. So shout out to her. But no, not anyone I could really know. But definitely thank you for having me though. I appreciate your time.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think I've had both of your assistant coaches on the podcast, her and Kat.
Yes, yeah, she said that.
So we gotta get Amanda Moore on the podcast at some point, just so
Yes.
the whole coaching staff. But
No, she would
Em
love that.
Emily, thank you so much though for coming on the pod. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to myself, and obviously wishing you and your team all the best for the upcoming season. I know you're gonna do great. So I really enjoyed our conversation today. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.